Whispering Whiskers. In the small, forgotten town of Eldridge Hollow, where autumn leaves twisted in the wind like the whispers of the dead, lived a girl named Clara. Her life appeared ordinary, filled with routines of school and chores, until one fateful day when she stumbled across a peculiar sight. While walking home from school, Clara spotted a dilapidated old house on the outskirts of town, a place the local kids referred to as the Whistling Manor. The stories varied, but the one thread that bound them all was the legend of a menagerie of strange animals that once resided within the manor's walls. Most claimed these creatures were cursed, their spirits tied to the malevolent force that once dwelled in the house. Intrigued, Clara decided to explore. Pushing aside the overgrown branches, Clara entered the manor through an unstable doorway. Inside, the hushed air was thick with dust and decay. The floor creaked beneath her feet, groaning like an old beast awakening from a long slumber. Sunlight filtered through shattered windows, creating eerie golden pools on the floor. As she ventured further, shadows flickered in the corners of her vision, teasing her with their swift movements. In the center room, Clara found an old cage, rusty, yet standing defiantly against the ravages of time. Inside, a pair of emerald eyes glinted at her from within the darkness. They belonged to a scruffy black cat, with matted fur and an air of sadness wrapped around it. Clara's heart softened, she felt a strong urge to rescue the creature. After a struggle with the rickety latch, she opened the cage and scooped the cat into her arms. "I'll call you Whisp," she murmured, petting its frail body. Whisp purred, and the sound vibrated deep within her bones, a strange harmony in the silence of the manor. As Clara made her way home, she couldn't shake the feeling that the cat had changed something within her. Whisp seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, flickering just out of sight. Clara found her dreams influenced by the cat. Images of the manor, filled with ghostly shapes of its former inhabitants, haunted her. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Clara and Whisp deepened. She started to notice peculiar behaviors in her feline friend. Each night, Whisp would sit at the edge of Clara's bed, staring into the darkness with wide, knowledgeable eyes. It was as if the cat became the eyes of the past, confiding secrets only it understood. One overcast evening, Clara was jolted awake by a scratching sound. She squinted, and in the gloom, Whisp was perched at the window, fixated on something in the street. Clara followed the creature's gaze and froze. A sinister shape loomed outside, a creature that resembled a dog, but its features were distorted, a grotesque mockery of a canine. "Whisp," Clara whispered, fear creeping into her voice. But the cat didn't respond. It merely stared, the fur on its back bristling. Suddenly, the creature lunged and darted toward the house, its eyes glowing with an unholy fire. It stopped short at the front door, barking a sound that echoed like a maniacal laugh rather than any normal animal cry. The door rattled violently as if something was trying to escape from being trapped inside. Then it clicked. She realized that the house, once part of a living world, held secrets of malevolence, and Whisp was no ordinary cat. When Clara had freed Whisp, she hadn't simply rescued a pet, she had awakened something dark, a force bound to the cursed past of Whistling Manor. Panic ignited within Clara as she swept Whisp into her arms. "We have to go," she cried, sprinting toward the back of the house where the kitchen led out into the overgrown garden. She felt the weight of Wisp's presence intensifying, a rapport bridging between them. As she took flight into the night, an army of distorted shadows trailed just behind, drawn to the sanctity Whisp held. The garden was choked with weeds, but Clara pushed through, her heart pounding louder than any thundering footfall behind her. Just when she thought she could slip through the brush, she heard a soft murmur, a whisper that flowed through the trees, echoing in her ears. "Join us." Time slowed down, and Clara staggered as the whispers filled her mind, trying to pull her in like a black tide. She stumbled forward, clutching Whisp tightly. "No, I won't join you," she screamed defiantly, holding on to the reality of her own identity. Whisp hissed, surprising Clara. It had never acted aggressively. But as she glanced down, she saw a transformation taking place. Wisp's glowing eyes swirled ominously, shadows twisting around its form until it began to pulse with an unsettling energy. The cat was channeling something both powerful and dreadful. In an unprecedented moment of will, Clara tightened her grip and called forth every ounce of strength. "You're my friend. We can't give in." With a roar that echoed like thunder, Whisp leapt from Clara's arms, the darkness around it fracturing like ice underfoot. Energy surged through the clearing, sweeping away the malevolence that had gathered. The howling shadows faded, leaving nothing but the serene whispers of the wind behind. Dazed yet determined, Clara collapsed onto the damp grass, realizing the weight of the curse was broken. Whisp padded back to her, its emerald eyes now warm and familiar, free from the sinister influence of the manor. Exhausted, Clara gazed into the night sky, feeling the weight of silence. The story of Whistling Manor would no longer haunt her or the town. Instead, Clara and Whisp would become guardians of their tale, carrying a truth that whispered of friendship forged in darkness, a bond that sealed away the shadows forever.